Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. We just got through Halloween a couple days ago. Wonderful time of year. I know there's some controversy over it, and some people think it's a holiday of the devil and encourages Satanism, but I don't. I think it's actually quite good for the community. I was very pleased to see the diverse number of children and adults coming to my door. I almost let my guard down. That's right, I was considering turning off my security camera for a day. And there's a reason I didn't shut the system down. Sadly, it's 2023. And little kids fall. You know the scene. It's a mother, an older brother, sister, whatever the relationship might be. Friend of a friend, and they're taking the kids out to go door to door and get some candy, which is cool until the little kid stumbles, falls, hits their head, and blood becomes involved. We all know that kid didn't mean to do it. Nobody put the rock there that the kid tripped over. But it happens. You know what? I even understand the idea of a parent, oh my God, my child is bleeding, what did you do? It's not fair, but it's understandable. So, I kept my cameras on, I kept my monitoring system recording and everything, just in case. And especially considering I live in one of these areas where the front of the houses are pretty close together. And starting about 7:30, we start to get the carloads of 15 and 16-year-olds. So that camera system pretty much pays for itself. And we live in 2023, and people don't want to be recorded, and they're afraid of it. But we have to be taking recordings of ourselves to protect ourselves. You do have the right to privacy. When I got my security system installed, I went to my neighbors, the ones I care about, because there's ones that are like never home and stuff like that, and I'm not worried about them. But I showed them, this is my view. And you can see I've aimed my system so it covers certain areas and not others. That's just to let them know that I'm not creeping on them or doing crazy stuff. It's just saying, hey, I'm a good neighbor. This is what I see. Likely that's never going to come up. But taking it out of Halloween, criminals don't care. I'm not one of these people that has a big sign out front warning security cameras are watching you. No, mine's installed. It's off to the side. Most people don't notice it. And their world is happier for not noticing it. But it's helpful because I get a lot of people that can't read coming to my front door. I have a nice big no soliciting sign. Guess what? Every once in a while, somebody gets brave and decides to knock on my door and try to sell me something, be it economic or religious, and I have to shut them down personally. I had one of the traditional signs, and then since I have a kid, I decided to have her redo it. And it's very nice. It's obvious what it says, but people just don't pay attention to signs. Now, these are the people. They're annoying, but the same token, I understand. In their day, they're tired. They probably get a lot of abusive responses. Stuff happens. Try not to go too hard on them. But if they push it, yeah, I'm going to go hard on it. But these people are doing what's legal. They have the right to solicit for their religion. I have the right to say no. So you have equal rights that theoretically oppose each other. And this is where we start to get into with surveillance. And I've been doing some homework over the past bit because I'm interested. When the police are at work, for whatever the reason is, and for whatever your motivation is, you have the right to record them. They have said, oh, what you're doing is against the law. There's no such law. The only thing that you can say is, am I being detained? In other words, are you arresting me? And if they say no, they cannot confiscate your recording equipment, whether it be a phone, whether it be a camera, whatever it is. And you can respectfully keep recording. Now, please stand back and out of police, ambulance, fire, whatever it is, keep out of their way. That's called common courtesy. You technically do have a right to stand there, but that can turn into a non-right if you're interfering with something important. And that distinction is solely in the police officer's mind. You resisting, you're not going to do anything. Remember Greta Thunberg? Wasn't too long ago, they physically picked her up and dragged her into a cop car because she was interfering with police peacekeeping operations. Now, I'm not blaming her. I respect what her intentions are. I don't respect her methods, but she does have a valid message. I'm not going to dump on her for what she is programmed to say, and I say that on purpose. That's not the point of the video. Let's get back to the fact you have rights. The most basic rights are your right to life, liberty, and north of the border, security of the person, south of the border, pursuit of happiness. Now, as I've told you before, the definition of your rights is basically you have access to it. In Canada, you have the right to the internet. That's correct. You have the right to the internet, which simply means you get to choose to pay your provider whatever they're deciding to charge you for internet access. That's your right. Now, you do have the right to life, which simply means continued existence. Doesn't say it's going to feed you, doesn't say it's going to give you water, and we know you need water plenty of times. But that's your basic right to life, to be given some gruel and a little bit of water. Doesn't say anything about housing, although I'm sure that's buried in there somewhere. To liberty. What does liberty mean? It means freedom, as more or less direct translation. But does that mean I can walk into my neighbor's house right now and steal their valuables? No. I'm not at liberty to do anything that breaches the idea of the social construct. I hate the idea of a social contract, so I'm going to call it a social construct instead. However, I can walk down this street anytime, day or night, and there's nothing they can do to stop me, provided I'm not intoxicated or, doing something aggressive that makes people feel uncomfortable. If I march up and down and I'm holding a firearm, I don't have liberty to do that. That's severely distressing to a lot of people, and there's no good reason for me to be doing it. So that's not really a liberty. Does it infringe on my rights, my not being able to do that? Nope. Is a policeman going to tell me that? Police person. Please, can we get some gender-neutral terms for police people, for fire people? Because there's got to be a better way to do this. Now, most importantly, your right to security of the person up north and pursuit of happiness in the States. I'm going to ignore pursuit of happiness in the United States because it was written 100 and something years before the Canadian, and I think it's so nebulous about what pursuit of happiness means that I'm just simply not going to address it. But security of the person means you can't go around, body checking people, pushing them down, stuff like that. Your personal security is inviolate. When a police representative arrests you, this right doesn't go away, but it kind of goes into abeyance. It still exists. The cop can't take you over and just beat the crap out of you. But at the same token, they're denying you your liberty and your security of the person the second they put handcuffs on you. Now, this is the important thing. When you come up against these situations, don't be a fool. Don't fight them there. They outnumber you. They have reinforcements. You're going to go down. They have pepper spray. They have the nurses and in the ambulance there, paramedics, sorry. Then they have all sorts of great stuff they can hop you up on, so that way you're not going to resist. You can never win that fight. As much as you see in movies like Rambo First Blood, one guy taking on an army of cops, no. Cops are going to win. No matter how so much special training and stuff you have, they're going to wear you down with numbers. They're going to hunt you. They're going to get you. You do your fighting in the court of law. And that is where you can bring up your security of the person, your liberty, all those arguments. Hopefully you have a lawyer because you know the old saying, someone who represents themselves as a fool for the client. And your day in court is the most important day you can have to make all these arguments. You argue with a cop who's there, probably has a bit of an adrenaline rush going because they see some bad shit, man. I can't even begin to describe that. Years ago, I was a security guard at a pretty upscale apartment. We had a domestic violence allegation on the second or third floor. And I went up with the police. The perpetrator, and I want to put that in quotes because I don't know what the end result of the story was. They had done what they did. Supposedly, they beat up the victim. And the victim was lying there. And I knew this, I'll be honest, it was a woman. I knew this woman a little bit. You know, we weren't complete strangers, but the same token, hi, how are you, how's your day, that kind of thing. Very, very weak acquaintances. So I was able to see this person with them crying. Now, I didn't see the bruises and bumps or anything, but when you see somebody you know in a sympathetic situation, crying and wailing and stuff like that, it tugs on your heart. And I can't imagine what police go through day after day seeing stuff like that, because we're not getting less violent as a society. I shouldn't say that. We are getting less violent, but the stuff that people do is becoming greater and more well known. It's not like the 1950s where, as long as you kept quiet about it, you could pretty much get away with anything. This is 2023. Everything's being recorded. Everything is taking place in front of you. And I'm still scarred by this day many years later. So, like I said, imagine what they go through. So talking about your life and liberty and security of the person to them when they basically are going through eternal PTSD, no, save it for court. Get yourself a lawyer. The best way is not to go Rambo, it's to go Remington Steele. It's Perry Mason. Yes, lawyers are expensive. Yes, all sorts of things happen in a courtroom that you're not going to know about, but you're best qualified to match up brain against brain. If I beat you in a chess match, nobody says Silverlight was brutal during that chess game. Or maybe they do. It's an expression. It doesn't mean I literally beat you up. Unless it's boxing chess, which I don't really understand. That's weird. The athletes who do it got respect for them, but like who came up with the idea? That's the part that I've never understood. If I beat you in a game of Magic, I could have some sort of brutal control lockdown on you, but at the same token, it's not violence. It's testing the mind against the mind. And this is what we must evolve towards as a species. I'll test my mind against somebody any day of the week. I'm big enough, I can easily wrestle people, I can easily throw them around and do damage. What does that prove? Just prove I'm a big 6'3" guy that knows a couple moves. Your best match will always be mind versus mind. And that's what we have to do. All of our security cameras, all of our locked and bolted houses, all of that is a mind versus mind game. You'll never defeat a professional thief, just like, debating Neil deGrasse Tyson. Even if you are a subject matter expert, he's got some pretty decent tricks up his sleeve. Bill Nye, the science guy, he's got a BS, Bachelor of Science. I have a slightly higher level of education, but I would never take on Bill Nye in 1,000 years because he's been doing this for decades, 40 years. He's been doing nothing but debates and education, etc. The same token, I can respect mind versus mind. Use your mind, use your life, liberty, and security of the person to become as best informed as you can. Know your rights. Know that resistance is expensive, as the Comstar tagline goes. And it is. It costs everybody a hell of a lot more than if you just go along with it and have your day in court. And whatever redress you have, hey, no one is going to be happy they're being arrested by the cops. No one is going to be happy to sit in a dingy little jail cell, getting their fingerprints done, getting DNA taken. And you know what? I have no idea what any of that's like. I just know what happens on shows. But ultimately, it's better to go through that and spend a little time to get your name cleared or whatever it costs than it is to decide that you're going to take on a precinct full of highly trained individuals, both physically and mentally. They are trained in the arts of de-escalation. And if you just want to be a jerk, you're getting nowhere. You're not getting your life, your liberty, or your security of the person back. Do the smart thing. It's always better to use your brain. With that, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share, subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Don't forget to click the bell icon down below so that way you're notified every time we upload. And we hope you have a fantastic day.